are back, guys, and hey, it's really good to see you here today. Guys, we're going to be talking about the Sony a6600 here today. As many of you know, guys, I've been a Sony shooter for quite some time. This whole thing started back with the original A7R, then the A6300, and then the A6400. And then the good folks from Adorama sent me the A6600 to play around with and, well, do this review. Now guys, this camera has some high-end features that you just typically don't find in a lot of APS-C cameras, like for example, in-body image stabilization. It also has a better battery and improved ergonomics over the other offerings in the A6000 series. Now these are just a few of the bonuses that make this an attractive camera, but there are also some downsides to be aware of. Is this camera right for you? Well, let's start the 3-minute review and find out. Okay guys, first is first. Let's explore some of the basics of this camera. First off, we're talking about a 24 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor. And guys, all the cameras in this lineup, the A6000, the 6100, 6300, 6400, and the 6500 all have roughly a 24 megapixel sensor. As mentioned already, in-body image stabilization, just like the A6500, hybrid autofocus system with 425 phase detect and 425 contrast detect points with eye autofocus and animal eye autofocus subject tracking capabilities. 11 frames per second shooting with 4K UHD video with log profiles. 2.36 million OLED electronic viewfinder, 3-inch tilting touchscreen, Wi-Fi and NFC, USB charging, and roughly about 810 shots on a single battery, or roughly double that of the other Sony a6000 series cameras. For me, the most impressive feature is that the fact that the a6600 has IBIS and that it's rated, guys, up to 5 stops. Now that's just not something you find in many APS-C cameras these days. I found that the IBIS system works quite well for still photos, although guys, I don't shoot a lot of handheld video. The 11 frames per second per shooting is also impressive, though this camera's buffer is just about average. The A6500 is a much better choice if you're shooting wildlife, sports, or other action-filled subject. I'll get into more of the pros and cons in a moment, but for now, let's talk about the build and handling. The A6600 build and handling. Guys, as the flagship of the A6000 series, the A6600 doesn't disappoint in the build department. The magnesium alloy body is strong, lightweight, and is weather sealed. The camera tips the scales at 1.11 pounds and measures 4.72 by 2.64 by 2.72 inches, so it's small in the hands, but with some major improvements over some of the prior cameras. Now the grip on this camera is vastly improved over its predecessors. It's larger, it's deeper, so you actually feel like you have a good grip on it. My gripe, guys, with earlier Sonys is that the grip was just too small and that my pinky would just dangle free because there wasn't enough room for my big mitts to lodge onto the grip there. But of course, the grip isn't just bigger for the comfort. It also houses the bigger FC100 battery that gives you much more juice in a single charge. Now, the XGA TrueFinder OLED viewfinder has 2.36 million dots of resolution and offers a clean, crisp view of whatever you're photographing or filming. Better still is the A6600's 3-inch touchscreen LCD, which is fully articulating and can face forward. Now, this is a handy feature for vlogging, but the issue is that when you have the screen up, guys, it's blocking anything that is in the hot shoe. As for the controls, they're typical Sony and are easy to access and well positioned on the camera. Top control dial can be easily manipulated with your thumb, and I appreciate that the 2 programmable buttons on the top of the body for customizing to do whatever you want. I really like how the shutter button is positioned. There's a bit of an angle to that makes it improve tactical experience over earlier models in this lineup. What the camera does lack, though, is a joystick, which is something that most cameras in this price range typically have. A joystick like the one on the Sony full-frame cameras would be great for changing the active autofocus points because it gives you 8 directions of travel as opposed to 4 directions the rear controls wheels offer. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still easy enough to change the focus points, but a joystick would just improve the experience. Now let's talk about the A6600 image quality and video performance. Now guys, the image quality is what you would expect from Sony. Images are clean and crisp, and the colors out of the camera are pretty darn good. Though you can certainly tone the images to meet your specific needs afterwards, you can push the ISO without getting tons of noise and at least up to ISO 6400 when shooting JPEG. Now, when shooting RAW, keep the ISO below 51,200 to avoid problems. Beyond that, there's just well, a noticeable drop in detail. RAW images and JPEGs are both high quality with good dynamic range and detail captured as well. Now, of course, the IBIS system definitely helps for image capture, allowing you to shoot handheld in low light situations where most cameras in the A6000 series would require a tripod. Now, on the video side, you get 4K UHD video up to 30p and full HD up to 120p. While there's no 4K 60p option, you have the advantage of no longer having a 30-minute time limit on recording, as is in the case with the A6500. Now, another thing that makes the A6500 such a great video camera is that you have, or you can use rather, eye autofocus and animal eye autofocus while shooting video, and there's a microphone headphone jack as well, which is a first for the cameras in this series. It also has internal video recording at 420, but you can also use the HDMI output to record at 422. On top of that, there are HDR profiles, support for hybrid log gamma video, focus peak and zebra functionality, and you can adjust the autofocus speed and sensitivity as needed. Okay, let's get to the pros and cons. Now, as mentioned earlier, there are some distinct benefits of the A6600 over some of the models from the A6000 series. Vastly superior battery is definitely a bonus, so is the larger grip. I appreciate the fully articulating screen, even if it's blocked when using a light or a microphone in the hot shoe. The IBIS system is a huge benefit as well for both shooting stills and videos. Of course, the eye focus and the animal eye focus are spectacular and are available for shooting stills and video. The autofocus system is by far one of the best I've ever tested. On the downside, even though this camera has improved ergonomics, it still doesn't feel as good as other cameras I've tested or owned. My Canon EOS R and my Nikon Z7 are much more comfortable for me to hold. Both command dials have to be operated with your thumb too, which is kind of annoying. I would prefer to have the record button higher up, as I find that a bit awkward to toggle it on and off. As typical of Sony, the menu system can be challenged to navigate. It also takes forever to make simple changes. The single card slot is another annoyance, as it means that the buffer fills up fast and takes forever to clear. So now, price and final thoughts, guys. Now, while this isn't a perfect camera for my purpose, I have enjoyed using it. It's well built, has a ton of excellent features, and the price isn't over the top expensive. It's definitely a video first camera, and there are better options for shooting stills, like for example the A6500 if you're into photographing a lot of action. The portability of this camera is obviously off the charts because it's so darn small and maneuverable, even though it's larger than its predecessor. The customization options are off the charts. The USB charging makes it convenient to charge the batteries when the time comes, and it's generally a more refined camera than some of the ones that became before it. At the moment, the A6600 is $1,398, so if you want a small, powerful video first camera with tons of features and killer autofocus, guys, you might want to consider this little guy. Well, there you go, guys. A quick review of the Sony a6600. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. While at it, hit the bell to be notified as we come out with new videos. Before we jump off here, what are your thoughts on the a6600? Leave a comment below so we can discuss. So with that said, guys, I'm going to head off here and you get out there and create your best shot.